I'd be more inclined to believe the latter, but you are getting a series of headline breaks.
A lot
the
of
Fed
headlines.
Looks more friendly. China looks more friendly. Now, $1 trillion of purchases is 3 years worth of trade deficit numbers. So, beyond that, no one knows what happens. And again, they haven't said anything about the key issues, as Kayla was suggesting, intellectual property and transfer of technology. But we're getting favorable headlines. So it takes the pressure off the market. You're at the start of the year. Last year we started off very strong as well and ran into some headwinds. And there are probably some that are still out there, not the least of which is a slowing global economy and potentially slower growth here at home.
But for the president, that key issue is the trade deficit with China. That's the one he hits every single time. So
yeah, I mean, if
he can declare victory there,
right, yeah,
if he
absolutely.
can declare victory there.
Sure. I mean, look, the headlines are favorable, right? I mean, usually you don't bounce straight off a bear market bottom and just go right back into a full-on bull. You retest the lows. But it depends. If the news keeps getting better and if earnings solidify going forward, that could add some more upside to the market in the
Tony,
short
what
run.
do you see?
Well, let's take a step back from today's headlines and look at the overall market situation. We have two very clear factors weighing on the markets. We have China, which we had some good news today, perhaps, and we also have the government shutdown. And again, stepping back from today's headlines, the market may be reading this wrong because our thesis is that the market can't really handle both of these at once. So it can probably handle one or the other. And clearly right now, as we're getting a lot of negative forecasts on the economy for the first quarter, the government shutdown is the more pressing issue. So the administration may be looking to try to resolve the China situation earlier and in turn double down on the government closure. If that's what's really happening here, that's not good for the markets, it's not good for the economy.
I don't really understand, Tony. Are you saying, because right now we are dealing both with a shutdown and the China trade wars, and the market seems to be just fine off of the December bottoms. And are you also saying that it is the shutdown that will have much more of an impact, negative impact, on the U.S. economy than trade?
Oh, yeah, in the short term, absolutely. So the trade over the coming years and decades, it's a more important issue. The government's not going to stay closed forever. But thinking about possible zero GDP growth in the first quarter, which is a very real possibility if the government stays shut, that's the bigger issue right here. What may be happening in the administration is they may be looking for a victory on the China front in order to double down on the trade, because in order to double down on the shutdown, because the border wall is the bigger issue politically for the president.
But Ron, it would seem that our long-term relationship with China on trade is a much bigger deal than the temporary shutdown, even if it does push GDP negative this quarter.
And I agree with that.
A huge problem for the longer run.
Look, I mean, we've seen this obviously now is the longest shutdown in history by a couple of days. We've seen the market effectively discount it in the past without nary, a move lower. I think the market's really been moving lower on other issues, not the least of which is China separately as a weakening global economy and engine of global growth. Although we might get a Shanghai 2 Accord out of China in which we're seeing already interest rate reductions, fiscal stimulus. That's been helpful. I don't think the shutdown, it has to go 10 weeks to knock a full percentage point off of GDP. Yes, we could see a flat first quarter, but there is a payback on the other side. We've seen that with natural disasters and other types of events where you're halted for a period of time.